So in this video, we'll be just revising the contents that we have learned in each modules, and we'll start with module 1. And as if you see the syllabus, you can see that the most important topics that module 1 has is the impact of jet and hydraulic turbine. These are the two important topics that you need to learn from your module 1. And impact of jet, we know that the plate can be kept straight, it can be kept at an angle, it can be curved vane, and there are different types of vane that we have. And at the same time, this can be either stationary or it can be moving, so you have different kinds of equations, and you have to all by heart those equations. And sometimes it will be kept normal to the jet. You have the jet, this plate is kept normal, and this is stationary. When you have stationary, you have a different equation. Once it is moving, you have to consider the relative velocity that you have to find. At the same time, when you have a inclined plate like this is the flow or a jet, then you have to resolve it to, you have a force, normal force, and you have a tangential force. That equation you should be understanding. And when you have a curve, there are two different ways. Either it can hit at the center, or rather it can hit at the end. It will be leaving from one side. And all these cases, it can be either stationary or it can be moving. Whenever, remember, when you have a vane, curved vane like this, and when you have it moving, always remember you'll be having something called as the velocity triangle at the inlet and outlet. So that's how you have to learn your module 1, and that to the topic from impact of jet. You have to learn the derivation also, because the most important part of this is the derivation plus the numericals of this impact of jet. And when coming to hydraulic turbines, the main things that you have to study is the impulse turbine and a reaction turbine. In case of impulse turbine, you will be dealing with the Pelton wheel turbine, and in case of reaction turbine, you will be dealing with either Kaplan turbine. At the same time, you have Francis turbine. So this is how it deals, and the most important thing is you have to learn the numericals from the part of Pelton wheel turbine, Kaplan turbine, and Francis turbine. That's the most important thing. And if you refer to some previous year question paper, what you can see is you can find some questions from Pelton wheel as well as Kaplan and from Francis turbine. In case of Pelton wheel turbine, what we have is the Pelton wheel. If I draw the leaf of Pelton wheel, this is how the bucket looks like, and the inlet velocity triangle will be a straight line, but you will be having an outlet velocity triangle. So that's how it is different. But when it comes to Kaplan or reaction turbine, what we have is we have a curved vane like this. Water will be going in with a velocity v1. Then what we have to consider, since this is moving, it will be having a velocity u1. So you have the relative velocity vr1. It will be coming out with a velocity vr2. At the same time, it will be having a velocity u2. So what we have is we'll be having the v2. And the actual velocities, the absolute velocity will be making alpha as well as beta, and the relative velocity will be making theta and phi. And if I draw this relative velocity, if I extend the relative velocity here and the relative velocity here, this angle is theta, this angle is phi. See, the water was going like this, it got deflected like this, so this is your deflection angle. So all these are the basic things, and sometimes what you can expect is, sometimes they say that the flow will be normal or radial. Flow is normal, or they might be saying it is radial. If they are saying that the flow is normal at the inlet, what happens? Your VR1 will be like this. It will be perpendicular to that. And at the same time, if the flow is real at the outlet, you have the exit like this. So you have to modify as per your question. That we have already discussed what does it mean by normal and radial. This thing you have to keep in your mind, and the equation to find the efficiency. There are different efficiencies that you know, the manometric efficiencies, not manometric efficiency. You have the volumetric efficiency, you have the overall efficiency, mechanical efficiency, and different types of efficiencies you have for the turbine. And as far as the numericals are concerned, these will be the two important numericals. Doesn't mean that you won't be having any other numericals. These are the two important numericals that you can have: the impact of jet as well as the hydraulic turbines. These two cases, impulse wheel turbine and the Kaplan turbine. And there are different theory questions that you can have, theory or rather other explanation questions, the different questions, and some of the questions I'll be listing it down. So these are the theory questions that can you expect. What does it mean by specific speed of a turbine? Whenever you have a turbine, just assume that your turbine, you have a model for the turbine and it is rotating with a speed ns. So when it is rotating at a speed of ns, it will be giving a power of 1 unit. At the same time, it will be working under a head of 1 meter. So that's the rotation of a model of a turbine which is working under 1 meter head and generating a power of 1. That is called as a specific speed. And the next expected question can be about the cavitation. And cavitation is, you know that whenever your velocity is very high, the pressure will be going down or it will be reducing. If the pressure reduces below the vapor pressure, it starts to convert to vapors and bubbles, and that bubbles are highly unstable. And when that bubbles collapses, what happens? It will be removing the part of metal also, and that continuous process is called as cavitation. And the types of turbine, there are different classifications of turbine, you can refer that. And the draft tube, why is draft tube used, whether it is used for Pelton wheel or reaction turbine. Always remember, draft tube will be used with reaction turbines only, and the functions of draft tube and also the different types of, what you have to learn is the types and functions of draft tube. And we have seen what does it mean by penstock. Penstock is the large pipe through which water is taken from the reservoir to the powerhouse. Water has to be transferred to the powerhouse. That is a penstock. And the uses of surge tanks we have seen. And the types of surge tanks also, I've given you the PDF, you can refer that. And these are the main important theory topics that you can expect from first module. The very next module is second module, which primarily concentrates on centrifugal pumps actually, and there are different types of centrifugal pumps. You should know how a centrifugal pump works. The working of centrifugal pump is very important, and its parts plus the figure. It is having an outlet layer called as a casing, volute casing, and then it is having an impeller, rotating part. All those things are very important. And then the parts we have, then the velocity triangle of a centrifugal pump. Always remember, the water will be coming from the interior. It's a radial outward flow. In case of centrifugal pump, you have the impeller like this. It will be rotating and water is entering like this. So it is radially outward flow. Water is going from the center to the outside, and how the pressure is changing, how the velocity head is changing, all these things, it will be coming under the working procedure. And the most important thing that you have to understand is the flow is radial always. So whenever you draw, if you draw I'm just showing this vein. So this will be entering like this. So it is getting rotated like this. So you have V1 like this and U1 like this. So this is your VR. So always remember this V1, this is always like this in case of centrifugal pump. If nothing is mentioned in the question, you have to always assume. They won't be saying anything in the question. Only if there's some change only they will be mentioning it in the question. Otherwise you have to assume that this is always like this. And it can be radial or it can be normal at the outlet. That depends upon the question. And if you see whatever you will be always resolving the absolute velocity. The absolute velocity is resolved into a vertical component called as the flow velocity and horizontal component called as the wall velocity. That I think you might have understood by doing all these numericals, that how you classify all it, and the equations you have to know what's the equation to find the discharge. So see, if you have an impeller like this, this is the inner diameter D1, this is the outer diameter D2. We expect water to come at some angle, but we need this velocity component to find the discharge. It is entering with the vertical velocity Vf1. It is coming out with the vertical velocity Vf2. So while finding discharge, we know the discharge is equal to area into velocity, or A1 into V1 and A2 into V2. But here what we are doing is we are considering only the flow velocity. So this is Vf1 and Vf2. When you consider the area is coming out to this periphery and it will be having some thickness there. So that area for A1 is this one. So that periphery will be pi into D1 and it will be having a thickness B. So Vf1. Similarly, pi D2B into Vf2. This is the equation for discharge that we'll be using. This all basic things you might have understood. The only thing that you have to know is what's the alpha value, what's the beta value, how to play with the figure. if you draw the velocity triangle correctly, half part is done. The rest is your trigonometry. How to find, sometimes they'll be asking how to find u1, how to find alpha, how to find theta, and that will be the different questions that they have. And always remember, so this is your vane. This vane will be kept at an angle. The vane will be turned at an angle, and always remember the vane angle are nothing but your theta and alpha, and you have something called as the guide angle. Those are your alpha and beta, both for turbine and pump. That's how it vane. This is the vane. The vane will be turned at an angle, that's theta and phi. Theta at the inlet and phi at the outlet, and guide angle is called as alpha and beta. Alpha at the inlet and beta at the outlet. And the centrifugal pumps, the major question is this. And for pump, the most important efficiency is the manometric efficiency. There are different efficiency: manometric, volumetric, overall efficiency. Different types of efficiency that you have for the pumps also. The efficiencies for turbines and pumps are different, and you have something additional in the pumps called as the manometric efficiency. And also when you're considering, you have to consider the manometric head. That all thing that you have to understand. And some of the theory questions that you can expect in this module is, so these are the some of the questions that you can expect for your university exam from theory, and that you can responding to module 2. So first one is the classification of pumps. The pumps are of two types: centrifugal pumps and reciprocating pumps. Though we don't have to learn in detail about the reciprocating pumps, I've already sent you a PDF that you can refer what are the different classifications of pumps. Then the specific speed. So in case of specific speed, what happens is, if you have a pump, the pump will be rotating with the speed of ns. It will be working under a head of 1 meter, manometric. This is manometric head of 1 meter, and it will be giving a discharge of 1 meter cube per second. And that corresponding speed is called as the specific speed of a pump, centrifugal pump. And priming. And priming means, you know that when you have a pump, it has to take water from the sump. The impeller of the centrifugal pump, this suction pipe, and this casing has to be filled with the same liquid that you have to pump, and that process is called as priming. If you have to pump water, water has to be there throughout this pipe, inside the impeller, inside the casing. Up to that portion you have to have water, and that process is called as priming. And suction lift. So this much height, you have to have a lift of this much, and that's called as the suction lift. And we have seen what's the limiting case of the suction lift. And we have seen that for no cavitation to occur, there should not be any cavitation, then what we have is HS should be less than your limiting value of suction lift. This we have seen. And we have seen what does it mean by NPSH, net positive suction head. We have seen how to find the equation for net positive suction head. And also cavitation. When cavitation we have learned something called as the Thomas cavitation factor. And this Thomas cavitation factor should be less than the critical Thomas cavitation factor. This all things we have learned. You have to understand each concept and also the equations that we are using.